The significances of eclipses is when they fall on God's calendar, number one, and the area that they cover. That's what we have to look at.
Wow.
Just like World War I, there was a total solar eclipse over Eastern Europe and over Turkey. And what happens? You have World War I, and the Ottoman Empire is destroyed. You had a total solar eclipse during the time of Jonah, but they repented and they were spared. And so a total solar eclipse doesn't mean judgment has to fall. It's all dependent on if, as a nation, we repent. So that's this, when you know there's a significance, is when they fall on key dates on the biblical calendar. And then what, do they fall over the ocean or over a nation? You know, so when they fall over a nation on key dates on the biblical calendar, then we know that nothing necessarily has to happen, but God is trying to tell us something.
August the 24th, 2017. You're looking at some of the latest satellite images over the Gulf, and there's been one outer band, and we'll look at it on a different radar, that's already came ashore. You can see it there as it approaches. But they're saying now a Category 3 with winds approaching a Category 4 right as it gets on shore. That's devastating. And they're talking about possible power outages, gasoline outages for up to 2 weeks or more. And if you look at your water temperatures, it's interesting at 31 here. But if you notice just under the coast of Louisiana, from about Galveston, really from right there over east, you're at 32. That's the warmest waters that the storm is seeing. But they're saying now the impact could last from Friday to Monday. The storm is going to stall just on shore. Think about that instead of a hurricane coming through and shorter than the day. And the devastation it can create. You're going to have the impact of a Cat 4 possibly, then 4 days of high winds, rains.
And when we landed at Houston Airport, we came out of the plane and we walked on the bridge. As soon as I stepped foot on Houston Airport, I heard the voice. I think this angel followed me, you know. He said, this city will be destroyed by a massive flood. I thought, oh no. I don't know anything about the history about Houston, you know. So while we were traveling from the airport to the city of Houston, the driver, the wonderful minister of God who picked us, was talking with Pastor Joe Sweet. And he mentioned something about there was a great flood in the city. I was still too occupied in my mind about what encounters that I had. I didn't quite pay attention to what both of them was talking about. But I just faintly heard the word flood. Okay, but when I got into the hotel room, I Googled. Thank God for Google, you know. You've got the whole world in your hands. Are you old enough to know that song? Yes. Okay. So now Google is like that. So when I Googled, there was records of history of massive flooding in Houston. Now, it didn't make me very pleasant, you know. I don't know why this time these things really bothered me very much. It has never bothered me in the past. Never. I just didn't know why it bothered me so much until 2 days later when I saw in the news the nation, the highest legislation in the country, has passed the same-sex marriage law. Then I understood why. See, your judges are not just Supreme Court judges, but are judges of the land. And what they pronounce, they have put a curse on their own country. And by opening a floodgate. So first was the judges of the land. Second was the king of the land. As soon as the Supreme Court passed a bill, President Obama went on the air to second and to champion the cause of the passing of the bill. And the whole White House was lighted up in the rainbow colors of the LGBT community. You know, the White House is the king's house. It's supposed to be the representation before God. And what are they showing to God? It's like showing the fish sign, you know. I'm sorry to say that, but that's exactly what you have done. You show the finger sign to God by protracting the rainbow colors on the White House. That is gross sin. Gross sin. When I saw all this, then I understood why the Lord spoke 3 times in succession, which means things will come speedily. Speedily. Destruction will come speedily. So all your prayers can save you and your family. But that which has been determined upon the nation will come. Like what Brother Neville has been sharing these past 3 days about things that have been determined. Like what Daniel the prophet interpreted the dream that Nebuchadnezzar saw. He said, the thing has been decreed by the watchers. Decreed means done, past. It will certainly come to pass.